In this video, I'm going to discuss with you another area of commercial maths, that is simple and compound interest. First of all, you should know what is the connection between principal, interest, and amount. Amount is given by the basic formula, that is principal plus interest, where we should know that interest is of two types: simple interest and compound interest. Talking of simple interest, we should know that formula for interest is given by PRT by 100, where obviously P is principal and R is rate of interest per annum, and T means time period, and that is in number of years. Therefore, amount formula will become equal to P into 1 plus RT by 100. So I expect you to remember these two formulas at least, that is interest formula PRT by 100 and the amount formula, that is P into 1 plus RT by 100. Using these formulas, let us try some questions. This is our first question now. Read this. So we have to divide 4,400 rupees into two parts, such that SI on the first part is same as that in the second part. In this, we will first assume that 4,400 is broken into two parts. First part is, let's say, principal P1. Second part, principal is P2. Now we know that in the first part, our rate of interest is 6% and time period is 3 years. So what is the formula for interest? As we all know, the interest formula is P into R into T by 100. So SI earned on this will be P1 into 6 into 3 by 100. Similarly, we can write down the value for interest earned in the second case, and that will be this. Since the question says that the SI in both the parts are equal, we can equate these two terms and we will get this equation, and which, when you solve this, we will get P1 equals to P2. That means, since the total principal was 4,400, each part of the principal will be 2,200 rupees. And that is B option is the correct answer. Let's try one more problem. In this, what we are given is that Vijay invests some money partially in some percentage, that is giving you 10% interest rate per annum, simple interest, and the second part offering 15% per annum, again simple interest. His total income, that means his total interest income after 1 year is 7,000. So it is similar to the first problem, the previous problem. The only thing is that the sum of the interest is given as 7,000 rupees. So our methodology will remain almost same. Let us say the two parts are X, which is invested at 10%. The other is 50,000 minus X, which goes to 15% option. Now, what is the interest in each of the cases? The interest in each will be, like in the first case, the interest will be X into 10 into 1 by 100, because the formula is P into R into T by 100. Likewise, for the second part also, we can find out the interest as is written on the screen, and the sum of the interest we know is 7,000 rupees. And so, solving this, we will get the value of X as 10,000 rupees. Now, this is a conventional way of solving the question. We can try an alternative approach also. It goes like this. We see that my overall investment is 50,000 rupees and I am getting a total income of 7,000 rupees. So overall, what are my annual returns? And that is interest income which I have earned, which is 7,000 rupees, divide by 50,000 rupees into 100, and that gives me 14%. It means from my investment, where part of which goes into 10%, the other part goes to 15%, my overall returns are 14%. Now, if that is the case, now I can apply the method of allegations. Now, this method, if you are not already aware of this, we'll discuss about this in more detail in a subsequent video. Right now, I'll give you a brief idea about this method of allegations. So what happens in this case is we write 10% the interest earned in the first case, 15% with a gap between them, gap with some gap in the right hand corner, and in the middle, a little bit below it, we write 14%. So we write the three figures like this: 10%, 15%, and below we write 14%. And then we draw these arrows, and we see 15 minus 14 is 1. We write there, and difference of 10 and 14, which will be taken as 14 minus 10, that is 4. This is the ratio 1 is to 4, which is the ratio of the principals invested in these two options of 10% and 15%. So remember that in the first part where I was getting 10%, this one value belongs to that. And in the second value of the ratio, which is 4, that belongs to the second part where I was getting 15% returns. Okay. This is a method of allegation with the help of which we are able to find out the ratio of investments in the two options. And so we get ratio as 1 is to 4. And if I know the ratio, my total investment is 50,000 rupees. So I can obviously find out the investment I have done in 10%, which is 1/5 of 50,000 rupees. And that comes out to same as previously, that is 10,000 rupees. So allegation is a slightly faster method compared to the conventional approach. Now, moving on from simple interest, let's talk about compound interest. In case of compound interest situations, the amount at the end of t years is given by the formula p into 1 plus r percent raised to the power t. Now, this is a very important formula where p, r, and t have the usual meanings. Here, I have also introduced one more variable, that is k. And I'll assume in the subsequent part of the video that 1 plus r by 100 will be taken as k. So the formula becomes amount is equal to p into k to the power t. What about interest? Interest, as we all know, will be amount minus principal, and we get this value, which simplified becomes p into this whole bracket. And as we have just introduced the value of k, I can replace 1 plus r percent by k. I'll get p into k to the power t minus 1. So again, like in the case of simple interest, here also I would suggest that you remember both these formulas, one for the amount, other for the interest. Let's try some problems based on this. In this case, we have rupees 1500, which is the principal. We are asked to find out the amount. Rate of interest given is 20% per annum, and time period is 3 years. So we'll apply the formula straight away. That is, amount is equal to 1500 into 1 plus 20% to the power 3, which upon calculation gives me this answer. So this is the amount we will be getting at the end of 3 years because of compounding. Now, once we know the amount, we can subtract the principal for the amount to find out the compound interest which we have earned in these 3 years, and that works out to the difference of these two. I will get 1092 rupees, which is the compound interest earned. Let's take one more example. This is slightly more twisted than the previous problem. Now, in this, we want to find out the principal invested. We are given the value of compound interest. Time period is again 3 years, and rate of interest is 10%. So we will apply the formula of compound interest to get to the answer. Let us say the money invested is X rupees. Compound interest earned in 3 years at 10%. So what do we get? The formula was P into K to the power 3 minus 1. So here K is 1 plus R percent, so it becomes 1.1, which is equal to, upon simplification, 0.331x. And we already are given the value of compound interest as 16,550. So we will equate the two and hence solve for the value of x. This is our answer. 50,000 rupees is the principal invested. So I hope you have understood the basic idea of how to solve questions of simple interest and compound interest based on the formulas directly. In the case of simple interest, suppose we start with 100 rupees, which grows by 10%. It means the simple interest rate offered is 10%. So the amount at the end of first year will be 110 rupees. Next year again I get 10%. So what will I get? Obviously I'll get 120 rupees. Remember, it's a case of simple interest. It is not compound interest. So it will be in the second year, it will be 10% of the first year original principal, which is 100 rupees. So that is 10 rupees interest earned, and that is why the amount at the end of second year will be 120. Likewise, in the third year, again I get 10%, so it will become 130, and the process goes on. We realize that SI every year is same. In this case, 10 rupees. In case of compound interest situation, let us see what happens. If we start with 100 rupees and the same thing goes on, we will get 110 at the end of first year, but 121 at the end of second year. And then we have 133.1 at the end of third year, and the process goes on. Obviously, in this case, we realize that the compound interest every year is not the same. In fact, CI earned in the first year is 10 rupees, and that in second year is 11 rupees, and so on. So we see that CI of first year 10 rupees, it grows by 10% to become 11 rupees, which is the CI in the second year, and so on. So we get next year 10% growth, and it becomes 12.1. Do you realize that CI every year is growing at the same rate at which the principal was growing? And that becomes our new concept in this case. So we can now come to the idea of growth in CI. So we see that CI in the nth year will be equal to CI in some previous mth year into this. And again, we can replace 1 plus R percent by K. It becomes slightly more simplified. So we get this formula where CI subscript N means CI in the nth year. Let's take a quick problem based on this. We are given that the second year CI is 420 and third year CI is 462. What is the rate of interest? So we'll apply that above formula to get to the answer. We see that CI3 is equal to CI2 into this, which means 462 is equal to 420 into 1 plus R by 100. The power is 1. And so upon simplification, we get R is equal to 10%. I hope you have understood this. Let's try one more problem. In this, data is slightly more complicated than the previous one. So in this, we are given the 5th year CI and 11th year CI. So we'll use a formula of growth rate in CI. We get CI5 is 1250, and this. We apply the formula, we will get CI11 is CI5 into K to the power 6, which becomes, upon simplification, that K to the power 6 is equal to 49 by 25. Now here I can do square root on both sides. Don't try to find a value of K. but do square root on both sides, we will get k cube is equal to 7 by 5. Now keep it at that. Don't solve further. Maturity value will be principal into k to the power 15 because time period given is 15 years. So we get 10 to the power 5 into k to the power 15. I can break it as k cube to the power 5. And that means now I can replace k cube by the value 7 by 5. And we get this expression, which upon solving gives me finally 5,37,824. And so the correct answer is A option. Now you see why I was saying that you don't need to find the value of k. It's of no use. Without getting the value of k or hence the value of r, I can solve this question. Otherwise, it becomes highly calculation intensive question. So we were able to avoid huge calculations simply by this kind of smart approach. Now our next area of concern is difference in SI and CI. What does it mean? In the first 2 years, for some R percentage of interest given, the difference in the CI earned and SI earned is given by the straight formula PR square divided by 100 square. To elaborate with an example, we look at this question. The difference is given as 100 rupees. Rate of interest is 8%. So we are asked to find out the sum borrowed. It means we are asked to find out the value of P, the principal. Of course, we can directly apply the formula, that is 100 is equal to P into 8 square by 100 square. And so upon solving, we get the value of P, and that is C option. Let's move to the next level of question. In this, we are given CI in 2 years and SI in 2 years, and principal is asked. This we will do by a smarter approach instead of the usual conventional approach. Please realize that we had discussed earlier that simple interest every year is same. So if the question says that SI in 2 years is 40 rupees, does it not mean that SI each year will be 20 rupees? Now, if SI every year is 20 rupees and we are given that CI in 2 years is 40.8, can I say CI in the first year is same as SI in the first year or SI each year for that matter? Of course. So we now know that CI in the first year is 20 rupees. But we are also given that CI in 2 years is 40.8. So CI in the second year will be what? Difference of 40.8 and 20. That gives me 20.8. Now I know that CI in the first year is 20 rupees and CI in second year is 20.8. So we can apply the growth rate in CI formula to find out rate of interest. And that will be percent increase in CI from first to second year. So that gives me 4%. Once I know the rate of interest is 4%, and I also know that the first year interest, whether SI or CI is 20 rupees, we can find out the principal. So we know that 4%, that is rate of interest, 4% of principal is interest in the first year, that is 20 rupees. So principal will be found as 500 rupees. All right. Thank you for watching this video. In case you have any queries regarding this video, you can always approach me on the mentioned email ID. Alternatively, you can also send the comments in the comment box.